A lot of other stuff going on. Frankly, thought we'd be talking about an Augustana softball championship. That did not happen.
I really, honestly, I've seen obviously a lot of softball teams at Augie, and they're always good, almost always good. In fact, Greta Milstead kind of took over when they weren't as good in a rare couple of years when they weren't as good, and she's rebuilt them right on back to the top of the heap. And I thought they had a national championship caliber team, not just to make the World Series, but I thought they maybe had a team that could win it. But I got to give Central Missouri a lot of credit. They made tremendous plays to back up their pitcher. Their center fielder made a phenomenal catch running away from home plate to rob probably a bases loaded double. It would have cleared the bases, I'm guessing.
In game
No,
one.
it was 5-0 when that happened.
Okay.
But it gets them right back in the game. Just a great play. And the first game was a blowout. It was 6-0 in favor of the Jennies. Second game, on the other hand, Augie had several chances to win that game. They left 7 runners on the first 3 innings, left the bases loaded in the last inning, had a couple of base running mistakes that just killed them in a 2-1 loss.
Hits.
They only gave up 3 hits, but 2 of them were bombs, and one was really a bomb. It was over the pine trees.
Hit a car.
And Central Missouri's pitcher didn't get a strikeout. She did not have a strikeout.
I think she pitched both complete games too.
She did.
So,
yeah, she was more dominant in the first game, but you got to give them credit. They made the plays, Augustana didn't, and it was the second heartbreaking loss for the Augustana Viking athletic program for a team that I think all of us thought was going to the national tournament, the Elite Eight.
Men's basketball
earlier. Team being the other, losing by a point.
And of course, for the softball team, I mean, this whole year was geared to get them back to that super regional point. They lost a year ago, Southeast Oklahoma, in the same fashion on their home field in 2 games. Last year it was a slugfest. The pitching kind of let them down. This year they just couldn't get the clutch hit.
And again, that's why I mentioned the fact that the opposing pitcher did not have any strikeouts. She was not overpowering. Augie just couldn't get the clutch hits, and they really didn't. The home run ball kind of went away. It didn't kind of go away. It went away. They didn't have any in either one of the games. They came this close to getting one in the top of the 7th inning when Sarah Kennedy hit one to the wall. I was standing right there when it happened. And so, the game's over. Center fielder who'd made the great play on Friday flat dropped the ball. She just dropped the ball. I think she was almost maybe starting to celebrate too soon. That's the only explanation, because she made the tremendous throw to gun down the runner from third base on the sac fly. I mean, that center fielder was great. So it was shocking that she dropped the ball. It was also shocking to me that they didn't score the tying run on that play. Because there's 2 outs. There's 2 outs. As soon as the ball's hit, you are going as fast as you can. And I honestly, when I looked up, expected to see the tying run crossing the plate. And
me too.
They left the bases loaded when they walked Troutman. And the shortstop made a great diving catch on a blooper to center field with the bases loaded to end the game and end the season. So, again, Central Missouri made the plays.
And obviously a tough ending, but only one team's going to end the year happy in the NCAA tournament. As Greta said afterward, you win 53 games. That's still an impressive season, and of course they have some players who are all over the record book, especially
boy did they
Janelle
ever.
Troutman. It was a special group.
Well, Caitlin Nichol, Sarah Kennedy.
Some of them will be
when
back.
you got 2 of them, when you got 2 of your players in the finalist list, the top 10 finalist list for Player of the Year in Division II, that is something.
Well, we talked a little bit about it last week, and of course we had a championship celebration on Friday night at the Premier Center. South Dakota State would like to have a championship celebration a few feet away over at the Birdcage. The Summit League tournament begins on Wednesday. SDSU is the number 2 seed. They're going to play Fort Wayne, who they just actually saw and split a range-shortened series with. Oral Roberts, the number 1 seed, against North Dakota State. Ran a little bit of sound with the Jacks on Sunday, and I'm sure you're going to have more as we get closer, but they kind of sense it, and they've been gearing for this chance to come back to Sioux Falls, and they admitted last year was disappointing. They had some good crowds. They lost a tough game to North Dakota State. Had an error against Western Illinois that cost them their season ultimately.
Yep.
It's been all about getting back here, and this is going to be their last chance to host it for a while.
Well, yeah, because Oral Roberts has just dominated baseball in the Summit League. I will say that normally under these circumstances you'd say, well, the only thing bad about Oral Roberts coming back in the Summit League is that nobody else is going to have a chance to win the baseball title. But SDSU went down to Tulsa and took 2 out of 3 in a series from Oral Roberts, and no Summit League team had ever done that before. So I think that's going to give them a lot of confidence going into this. But let's just worry about the first game first, because the thing is that baseball in particular, you cannot look past the game you got to win now.
Because they were the number 1 seed a year ago. They were the number 1 seed. North Dakota State beat them.
Yeah.
And North Dakota State ended up. I really don't think that'll happen again on the number 1. I don't think the Bison are beating ORU in the first game, but you never know. It could happen. Big thing for them is I almost kind of talk about it the same way with Augie. We know that SDSU has good pitching. Last year they could not get the clutch hits.
Right.
And it surprised me a year ago because the bird cage is rather small. It's a hitter's park. You've got composite bats, so they're not playing with wood. I think there was only 1, maybe 2 home runs for the entire tournament a year ago. If SDSU wins, I think this lineup has enough. It'll be because this lineup has a little more pop to it to maybe give them that run support and get that clutch hit.
Yeah, they don't care how they win as long as they win. It's if they win 2-1 or 3-2 or 10-8, whichever way. And I tend to think the games will be lower scoring with the good pitching that they've got.
And that,
we'll see. I think there's a stretch of days in there where the tournament Thursday and Friday are supposed to be nice. So I think weather-wise they'll be fine. But as we saw in the softball tournament with Augustana, we thought it would be high-scoring games.
They were low
and they scored a total of 1. Augustana, the team that scored all those runs during the regular season,
school record,
and hit home run after home run, scored 1 run in the 2 games against Central Missouri. So at this level, where it's really this important, pitching usually wins out.
A lot of other stuff.
And defense.
Yeah. Storm are also 10-0, by the way. They beat Nebraska, who's the second best team in the league, pretty handily. It was close for a little while, but right now it looks like the Storm are kind of on cruise control once again, as they will likely have home field throughout the playoffs.
Lorenzo Brown's really playing well at quarterback.
Starting to pass more, too, because Torrey Harrison got signed by the CFL.
Yeah, which didn't surprise me. I mean, he was having and he only played, 4.5 games or something like that, and still was leading the league in rushing for much of the year. Having a Fred Jackson-like season, and I say Fred Jackson, for those of you who don't remember, played for Sioux City the year that the Storm won their first title
in Sioux
City. And Fred Jackson was, he was the best running back I've ever seen in arena football by far. And when you can run for over 100 yards a game, that's monstrous in arena football. And Torrey was good for more than that.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just
he would have been the MVP.
He would have been the MVP this year. But the balance going in 2 weeks ago, going into their game, when I believe I think it was 2 weeks ago, they were 30 yards apart in rushing and passing yards, which is also unheard of in arena football. Normally it's
passing.
75% of your yards are passing. So I feel sorry for teams that are trying to figure out how to play defense against them, because as good as Torrey Harrison was, their offensive line is tremendous. And so you even put somebody else in that backfield, they're going to be fine. And I just don't see anybody beating them, but who knows.
Also, I want to say...
Don't forget the Canaries either.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. I want to say one thing, though. We don't know yet who's going to win. Congrats to anybody who played at State Golf, because it was brutal. I don't care who wins the title. If you played and you made it through that mess, you deserve a hand, because that was awful on day one, and I think it'll maybe get a little better tomorrow. But like you said,
Sydney Borman's going to win no matter what the conditions.
Yeah,
she's tremendous.
Heading to South Dakota State too, so get to keep seeing her.
Shot, I think, a 39 on the back nine Monday at Madison in that horrible conditions. So that just tells you how good she is.
And her sister Jordan actually had a pretty good run too with Augie as well, helping them get to the national tournament. Like you said, though, Canaries, they open up against Sioux City. Very different looking Canaries, at least from the managerial side, for the first time in a long time. No Steve Shirley, who of course led them to their only championship, right around the same time the Stampede did, actually, 2008. we haven't really, still don't know exactly what the full roster is. They got to make cuts here, I think, in a day or so. But what were your impressions? We've seen a few exhibition games. I know we talked to a couple of them earlier this week.
Well, have had, Chris Patterson on the radio a couple of times actually, and number one, he's 29 years old, which is it's not so much that they changed managers; they want young, and they want young with a guy who's had good success wherever he's been. But they've always had an older baseball guy in the past, which I got to admit,
you liked.
I love that
because Steve was a good guy. Steve was a really good guy.
Yeah, and Doc, and I mean they've had guys that, and Steve turned out to be a tremendous friend too over all these years. But you understand when the team goes 2, 3, 4 years in a row and doesn't do much, eventually you have to make a change. What I'm not sure I'm going to like is the fact that Steve and Doc always had some big boppers in here. They had guys that could hit home runs. And as you said, when we were talking about college baseball, Sioux Falls Stadium is very much a hitter's park. And Chris likes small ball. He likes pitching and defense and singles and bunts and move the runners over. And I mean, that's his philosophy, and it's worked. I don't know how well it's going to work at the birdcage because, a deep fly ball somewhere else is a home run here. So we'll see. And I've always said chicks dig the long ball. So it's like, there's something.
You've always said that?
I've always said that. Ever since
Nobody else says that.
Yes, they do. Yeah, they do. Home run hitters say that. Ever since I used to play home run derby in the backyard with my brother. I mean, there's just something about hitting home runs that's a big part of a love for baseball, for me anyway. So we'll see. It's just the fact that it's a smaller ballpark. Some of these guys that he's not counting on for a lot of home runs might hit a lot of home runs. So,
well, and it's exhibition play, so I don't know. You take that with a grain of
that.
salt, but they have been scoring a lot of runs in They've also been giving up a lot of runs, so I guess something's got to give. That'll do it for this edition of the blog.
Nothing else?
We had a lot to talk about this time, man. Kind of our blowout because I.
Is there anything else? Let's see. We talked Canaries. We talked Storm. We talked Augie softball. We talked state golf.
Stampede. I mean.
Augie's women finished 10th, by the way, at the national tournament. So congrats to them. Lauren Fitz from Dakota Wesleyan came on really strong. Shot 73 and 74 her final 2 rounds and jumped all the way up to 15th in the country at the NAI National Tournament down in Savannah, Georgia. So that was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Very impressive. She's from Brookings.
And, of course, Wesleyan's baseball team also finished up as well. Did they win a game out there?
They did not. They went 0-2 down in Oklahoma City.
So still.
But finished strong. They were 9 and what were they? What did we say? They were 15 and 7 to end the season after a 9 and 17 start. So that was, that was a tremendous finish to get to the NAIA tournament.
Well, you've been around here forever. I mean, this is pretty darn busy for a spring season. I mean, for the spring season, usually we kind of expect it to slow down once we get past March Madness, and it picked up again this year. Especially, I mean, having the Stampede was one thing.
Yeah, because everything else that's going on always goes on.
We still have,
got state tennis this weekend too, by the way.
Yep. Not going to be O'Gorman, more than likely.
Probably not. I'd say Mitchell or Lincoln. Those two teams are undefeated. Before today, those two teams were undefeated. Mitchell won a 5-4 match at Lincoln in a thrilling match on the Lincoln home courts in horrible conditions. So I would look for one of those two teams to win the state tennis tournament for sure. It starts on Thursday, runs through Saturday with all the championship matches at McKinnon Park on Saturday afternoon.
Good match, yeah. I mean, if we get that at the state tournament, it'll be pretty fun. It'll come down to the last.
Well, it's different. It's not like a duel.
Yeah.
It's whoever has the most depth and can get the most points. It's different than a duel. You can actually have a really good duel team that doesn't necessarily win a state tournament, but odds are if you're a good team that wins all its matches, you're going to do really well at state. So I'd look for these two teams.
And Mitchell wants it badly because they've never won a state tennis title. Great athletic program with some
and their tennis team is a bunch of guys that are really good in a lot of sports.
Yeah.
They're not just tennis players. They're guys that are good in hockey, they're good in basketball, good in football, and it's kind of rare. So they're a fun team to watch. Very competitive. They really want to win this thing.
Yeah, it was the doubles match with them and Lincoln. When you had some ping ponging back and forth. That was pretty high quality stuff.
I think we got it all covered now.
We did. And
Let's think about this.
Let's stop thinking. Let's take a break for the summer.
Twins are playing pretty good.
Yeah, hey.
Yeah, playing really good. Right.
Paul Molitor. Good manager.
He's doing well. After a 1-6 start, they're
5 games.
Shocking the world right now.
It's the first time in like 5 or 6 years they've been 5 games over 500. I mean, that tells you how it's been.
Yeah.
It had been a long time since they'd been 3 games over 500, which is it's been a rough stretch for the Twins. But can they contend the whole way?
Depends on the pitching.
I mean, the other nice thing too
They'll
is
score runs,
yeah.
but it depends on the pitching.
And of course, I still think we're going to see some of those prospects, hopefully, like Buxton and Sano. So, hopefully, some reinforcements.
If they're ready, yeah. I mean,
down the road, it would seem like there are reinforcements coming at some point.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and they got some good pitchers in the minor leagues too. So I would say a couple of years ahead is when you can start thinking these guys, they could be contenders to go real far like they used to be when they had a stretch of about 10 years under Ron Gardner where they won about 8
right as they were about to get contracted,
Central Division titles. Yeah,
they blew up again.
Yeah, so I think there's that nucleus for a great young team in the future.
That's kind of the Twins' way. I mean, every couple of years they fall down, they bring up their prospects, and they start to win again. And
yep.
Of course, good credit to Terry Ryan too. Came back as GM. Looks like they've built up a pretty good team again.
Terry's the man.
You're the man. We're done. We're going to take a little break. We'll catch you. Have a good couple of months, good summer, and we'll talk to you later.
A couple of months? Are we going to be gone that long?
I have a
we'll
feeling.
see you soon.